Good morning. Pete here. I'm the Bayside Devo pastor, and we are moving deeper into the Christmas season, and we might find ourselves attending more and more Christmas parties, maybe that party with coworkers or with friends or with family as well. And I have to admit, when I go to some of these parties, I sometimes find myself asking, how do people really see me here? And what I mean by that is, am I good with people, or maybe is there some tension between me and someone that I don't know about? Are people for me? Are they against me? I sometimes am unsure how to read myself in a party and how people are really feeling about me. Well, the thing is, Jesus experienced the same kinds of things. Jesus went to all kinds of gatherings, parties, meals, festivals, and in this, he found himself feeling disagreement over how people saw Jesus. An example comes to us from John chapter 7. And first, a little context. Prior to this, Jesus had fed the 5,000. Jesus had healed a man who was lamed and crippled for much of his life. So he was doing all kinds of good things. But even through this, people were in division over how to understand and to receive Jesus. Check this out. Beginning in verse 11, the Jewish leaders tried to find him at the festival and kept asking if anyone had seen him. There was a lot of grumbling about him among the crowds. Now let me pause for a moment there, grumbling. Well, other translations write it as muttering about him, or murmuring about him, or complaining about him. There's even one that says that they were whispering about him. Right? They're talking about Jesus. And what were they saying? Well, Scripture goes on to say this. Some argued, he's a good man, but others said, he's nothing but a fraud who deceives the people. But no one had the courage to speak favorably about him in public, for they were afraid of getting in trouble with the Jewish leaders. Now, a couple things I want to point out here. First of all, you have Jesus. He's fully God, he's fully man. He lived the perfect, sinless life, right? Jesus loved people perfectly, and yet people didn't receive how he lived and loved people. People were divided over who he was. So if you find yourself at a gathering, at a party or something, and people are talking about you or murmuring about you maybe, don't be surprised. I mean, even Jesus, the perfect man, had people whispering about him. Second thing I want to point out is what we see here in verse 13, and it's this: but no one had the courage to speak favorably about him in public, for they were afraid of getting in trouble with the Jewish leaders. Right, a lot of times when people are talking about us, or when people are uncertain about who we are or what we're doing, a lot of times that has nothing to do with who we are or what we've done or what we've said. A lot of times that's just born from a place of fear, from a lack of courage, because they're worried about what other people are thinking, or about what other people are thinking about themselves. Well, what are other ways for us to deal with this? Well, Jesus goes on to model for us not only how to deal with it, but also he gave very specific things on how to handle it. Skip down to verse 17. Jesus says this: anyone who wants to do the will of God will know whether my teaching is from God or merely my own. Those who speak for themselves want glory only for themselves, but a person who seeks to honor the one who sent him speaks truth, not lies. Jesus gives us great insight how to put aside all of the murmuring and the whispering and the anxieties about what people may or may not be saying. Jesus says instead, put your agenda aside. Focus yourself on the agenda of God, the will of God. And what is his will? His will is for us to love God and to love our neighbors. So when we do that, we find ourselves not worried about what people are saying, but instead living out the joy and the satisfaction that is being a follower of Jesus. Well, I hope you're encouraged by that. I hope you find yourself in a better place. We will see you around. Be blessed.